Welcome to the Straight from the Source's Mouth podcast. Frank talk about sex and dating.
Hello, everyone. Tamara here. Welcome to the show. Today's guest is Figs O'Sullivan. He's a couples therapist, and we'll be talking about helping people go from conflict to connection. Thanks for joining me, Figs.
Thanks for having me on your show, Tamara.
Yes, thank you for being on. And this is for personal reasons and for the show, of course. I found myself newly moved in with someone, and we were getting snappy with each other for a few days where for no reason it seemed like, or we just couldn't tell what was going on. And then I had just read your information, so it sounded very relevant for both things.
Great. That's good. If it can help your listeners and potentially you personally, that's great.
Yeah. And how do you usually get started with clients, or you can talk about how you got started in this work first, whichever.
Yeah. So how I got started in the work is, I came from a dysfunctional home myself as a kid. So it was kind of always my biggest heart's longing to be able to make love and relationship work and be able to be married, and be a dad. And so, some people, their life mission is to, bring humanity to Mars. Other people, it's as simple as I want to be able to be a better spouse, father than my father was able to be. I don't say that with any bitterness towards my father, but so that's kind of my life mission and goal. And then I was lucky enough to learning how to do it myself. I developed the skills to be able to help other people do it too. So, I'm married. I got 2 kids. We live in Hawaii. I'm looking out over the ocean. When I look off to the right, I actually am looking at the ocean. So all of the dreams of little Figs have come true, which is amazing, right? I mean, and I don't mean that as a boast, I literally pinch myself every day that I created a life, a relationship, a family that my little Figs that didn't have those things can inhabit and, get the love and connection and fun and play that he didn't have as a kid. That I get to have all of that now, which I think is a good thing to try and help people be able to do. Right.
Yeah.
So that's, I feel very blessed to get to do work that has a meaningful impact on people's lives. And every time I work with someone, it helps me too. So
for sure. Yeah. Having this podcast, every time I learn stuff, and I just I've grown, obviously, from having this, just interviewing all the people and with all the good knowledge.
Nice.
So, and for you get to help, hopefully not have that happen to other kids, because the parents actually learn how to work together and have a healthy relationship and show that to the kids. So it's even better. So what is the usual complaint, or who do you usually work with? Like couples first, or people?
Yeah, I primarily work with couples, right? And usually the presenting problem is they're struggling to get along with each other. Now, whether it's gone as far as there's an affair, or, someone has already left, or they're already divorced. I mean, obviously there'd be very extreme scenarios. Of course, that happens in people's lives. And then there's on the other end, people reach out just because they want to improve their communication, and they scared each other because they had an argument last night and they didn't like how it felt. So there's, different starting points, but basically, typically a couple reaches out because they're struggling, they're suffering. And then I try and help them turn that suffering, think of it turn the suffering at base metal into gold, into a transformational experience that helps them feel more connected to each other and love each other in ways that they didn't think was even possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know, like I said, when I first read about you, it was it seemed like you basically said everyone gets this snappy way or some kind of and I forget what you said, how it happens or what it is exactly that happens. Does that ring a bell?
I know, it's funny. I'm not very good at remembering. I'm very improvisational. I don't know if I ever say the same thing twice. So I don't know exactly about the snappy way, but but usually most people start off from a place where they both think the other person is the problem, whether they're explicit about that or implicit about it. And then one of the first things I have to do is help them see and understand the narrative of how it's an us problem, not a me or a you problem.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, because when you both assume it's the other person, then that's when the snappiness happens, because you're just like defensive and mad at each other, and
Exactly.
they can do no right.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Okay. And then what are some steps? Do you have like a basic structure, or is it everyone have the same kind of bottom line issue? Or?
Well, so the basic structure, there's three main pillars to the work. And the first pillar is attachment theory. And attachment theory, if you're familiar with it or your listeners aren't that familiar with it, the easiest way to understand it is we all need to be emotionally bonded from the cradle to the grave. And you could substitute attached for emotionally bonded, or you could substitute the word loved for attached. So everybody needs to feel loved. Everybody needs to feel connected to another person. It's pretty obvious to understand the cradle part, right? We know human beings, we're not capable of surviving in the world without a birth mother or some really competent primary caregiver to be there for us. So you could have every other need met. You could have lots of food in the room you were born in. You could be very safe. You could have iPads. You could have an Amazon Prime subscription. But none of those things will actually keep you alive, right? What keeps you alive when you're born is connection to another person, right? We're literally connected via the umbilical cord. And then we are completely dependent on our mom at first, and then mom and dad, and then the community, to make sure a dingo doesn't come and eat us. So when we grow up, we may think we're not as dependent anymore for attachment to survive, but nothing actually physiologically has changed that much. We might be a little bit more competent in the world, but our system deep down we still get really scared when it looks like our primary attachment figure, primary person we are emotionally bonded with, who, fingers crossed, when you're a grown up, when you're an adult, it's no longer your mom. That's a different problem if you're still primarily bonded to your mom when you're a grown up. But yeah, like if it looks like your primary attachment figure is not there for you, or you're not good enough for them, it's really terrifying for your organism, for physiologically. And then you will do things to protest being in the terror of being disconnected or not being good enough for the person that you is most important to be connected to or to be enough for. And then that brings us to the second. So that's attachment theory. So everything a member of a couple does, both members of a couple do, makes sense when we look at it through the lens of attachment. And then we add in the second pillar, which is systems theory. So because you're not an island, you're not just doing this on your own. Now we have you think you're two separate entities, and you're right. But when you come together in a relationship, you create a third entity, which is the system of both of you together. And so then you could imagine how it works in a system. When I get threatened because I don't feel connected, I protest in a way that sounds blaming and complaining, which threatens my wife. And then she feels like she's not enough. And she then protests by being defensive or shutting down, which of course makes me feel even more alone. You're not here for me. So then I do more blaming and criticizing. Then she feels more threatened that she's never enough. And so she is more defensive or shuts down. So through understanding attachment, you see how we create a positive feedback loop that doesn't feel very positive. And then the third pillar is just experiential psychotherapy. And experiential psychotherapy is just, we believe that in order to help people improve, break out of that negative feeling, positive feedback loop based on their need to be emotionally bonded to each other because they love each other. They're really important to each other. We have to actually resolve a present moment of time. I'm not trying to change people's behaviors. I'm not coaching people. What we're trying to do is there's a present moment of time where that system that I just described is happening right now. And through helping them see it from the outside, and so going from it's not just the other person is blaming me, it's not just the other person is being defensive, is they see the entire system and the system is the problem and the system's only happening because we really love each other. If I can have the couple actually experience that in their hearts, in their guts, right? Then all of a sudden we can go from we're not a threat to each other. We're just two threatened people that are having a really hard time. And you can imagine instead of going from we both look like tigers, a defensive tiger and an attacking tiger. So now we look like two scared little kittens. And two scared little kittens, it's now possible for them to actually have empathy, compassion, and love, comfort, and soothe each other. And the big tigers go away. Whether you're a defensive shutdown tiger, blaming tiger, minimizer tiger, whatever your particular flavor of tiger is, if we can get you to be in the experience of I'm actually threatened because it looks like you're not there for me. I'm threatened because it looks like I'm a disappointment to you. And we're just in our threatened selves. Now we create this empathic experience with each other, compassionate experience with each other, where now we can be there for each other, love each other the way we both deserve and long for. So, that obviously took me, whatever it is, 5 minutes to say, but that's it. Another really important part of the work is I'd never deviate from literally what I just described to you. That's it. Don't ever try and do anything other than make that experience happen where we can see it's both of us. It de-escalates us. And then once we're de-escalated, now we can try and reach out vulnerably for our needs to be met and be there for each other, right? In ways that we can't when we're still protecting ourselves as big tigers. And then of course, the reasons why we might have learned to protect ourselves the way we do. Again, whether you're a blamer, criticizer, shutter downer, minimizer, placater, there's good reasons why people learn to do those things. And like when I say good reasons, there's probably very smart for your organism to learn how to protect yourself in one way, to lessen the impact, the real pain of being abandoned or rejected or told that you're too much, being ashamed of being too much or being ashamed of not being enough. Right? You have to find a way to survive. But if you're going to make love and relationship work, at some point, we have to see the way I learned to survive in the world is now actually increasing the disconnection in my present moment relationship. And I got to learn some flexibility and ability to go from, even if I can't even see how I protect myself. I just think it's natural that this is what you do when you don't feel met by your significant other. You feel totally justified in it, right? But at some point, we need to actually reverse engineer from our reactivity to I'm actually hurting and share I'm hurting. And it's a three-legged race. You can't just have one person doing it. We need both people to do it. Just like in any three-legged race, you can't have one person start. You can't have one person finish, right? Without the other person, you're disqualified. So we got to do it together in lockstep with each other.
Yeah. And how long does it take? Or I'm sure there's extremes, but for like some couples, is it like a week and then they're totally fine? Or
Yeah. I mean, look, it's for sure. Like if you think about, look, what I said, like here's what the work is, that everybody's a dog from the pound. It's hard for people to accept their dogs from the pound. They got injured in a previous home. They got hurt. They now walk through life scared. They see a shadow over their head and they're scared it's going to happen again. But now, of course, we have two dogs from the pound in the same home with each other. So they're both going to scare the living daylights out of each other. Helping those dogs from the pound see, listen, it's not that the other person is a bad dog. It's not that you're a bad dog. You're both just scared dogs and you got to accept you're scared dogs and you're going to be scared dogs forever. Like accept, surrender, like collapse into that. And then love each other in the places where you've been trying not to feel and be in all your life. Look, I can help people do the work, experience it, but then they have to do it forever. They don't have to do it with me forever. But it's not a like, we're done now, it's over. This is who we are. I'm someone that got hurt about being abandoned. I'm going to be sensitive being abandoned for the rest of my life. Or I'm someone that got hurt about being rejected for not enough. I'm going to be sensitive about being rejected for not being enough for the rest of my life. When you feel abandoned, when I feel rejected, we're going to scare the living daylights out of each other. And we're both going to arm up because it's very quick. Your limbic system reacts very quickly. We're going to arm up for the rest of our lives. We're going to get in the negative system with each other for the rest of our lives. We're going to have to find our way back to the neutral de-escalation where we can love each other now the way we couldn't when we were scared little dogs again, right? And felt threatened for the rest of our lives. So one of the things that, let's say if I'm successful at this, is because it's expectation management. Where people think they should be, they're never going to get to. People think they're going to become like whole people, and they're dog from the pound cell. They'll get to bury him in the back garden, or like, drop him out at the bottom of a lake. I never have to feel that part. And you, my dear partner, won't make me feel that part of me, and I won't make you feel that part of you. That's just not on the menu. It's not possible. So when you say, like, how long does it take? How long does it take for people to accept who they really are and what they co-create with each other, and, actually be vulnerable, and that they're good now? This is what they have to do for the rest of their life. Are there people that it takes one session? It's like, they go see some inspiring minister and its demons be gone. Sure. But for most people, the resistance is strong. Even if they're not aware of it. Like, I am absolutely committed to not feeling abandoned, and anyone that makes me feel abandoned is going to get my wrath. And I'm totally justified in it. And undoing that narrative. And you could imagine if someone is like that, they probably pick the partner that is on the same scale of commitment that if anyone makes me feel bad about myself, I'll be watching 8 American football games tonight. You're not going to be seeing me. Right. In the house. Right. I'll be down in the basement. Thank you very much. Right. So look, it's a lifetime work. They can do it all with me, or at some point we got to accept who we are and grieve for the parts of us that were hurt, and then love, comfort, and soothe each other. And like I said, we got to do it again and again. For the younger listeners, for EVs, there's no final destination.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to point out that there is a send us a text message at the very beginning of the description, and you can use that to send an anonymous question or comment. So I'd really appreciate it. All right. Thanks. Yeah. Although I know from personal experience too, sometimes like when you're in that wounded, like dog pound state, you can get out of it faster potentially, or heal longer. Longer.
Right. No, of course. Yeah. Like, we want to grow your window of tolerance for being able to be hurt, that you're not like completely numbing out, or you're not like completely out of your capacity. Like, we've got to grow your window of tolerance to be able to be hurt. And then, of course, with a couple, we got to be able to grow your window of tolerance to be hurt together. Because when you're in the place where one of us feels abandoned, the other feels rejected, or we both feel abandoned, that's actually most people, they're trying to connect with each other in the next place. The place that isn't we both feel abandoned, or one of us is abandoned, one of us is rejected, or we both feel rejected. They want to connect in the next place. But actually, the place we have to connect with each other is the place where we both feel rejected, or we both feel abandoned, or one of us is abandoned, the other is rejected. So that's a really tough thing. And so, look, in terms of my goal is always to get people to a place that they don't need me as soon as possible. So I try to help them have these transformational experiences, understand themselves, their partner, and the system that they co-create with each other. And then ideally we say goodbye, because now you can do it without me, right? You can go from disconnection to de-escalation to meaningful, deep repair, where you're loving each other now the way you couldn't in the fight. Like, you just don't need me any. Like, I'll cry with joy the day you come in to my office and you tell me we did all of this without you. So at first it's training wheels with me, and I'm literally, sometimes I compare myself like I'm a dance teacher, where at first, I don't know if you've ever worked with a dance teacher where they literally are moving your feet. It doesn't feel like dancing, right? You're literally just putting your feet in the numbers or the squares that they tell you to put them in. And actually at first they might actually be picking up your legs and moving your legs. It doesn't seem like you're doing any dancing, but over time, eventually you're actually able, like, because we did it enough times, there was enough repetition, you have the muscle memory, you have the experience in your heart, in your gut, you can then do that yourself. You have an experience of it feels good, oh my god, it's worth actually doing this. So that's the goal, right? That, like, you know, I have a bird's eye view, understand what's happening, give it to the clients, and then they've incorporated it, they've ingested it all, and then they have a mini little figs inside them, both of them, and they can do it without me. Right? And that's part of why I like couples counseling is individual counseling. Like, the person could be with me for 10 years. The intimacy is hard for an emotional withdrawer, right? Avoidantly attached person like me. Couple, I get to help them for 3 months, 6 months, and we say goodbye. And they make room for the next couple that I can help. So yeah, the goal is it's supposed to be short-term, intermediate-term work. But I always it's important to tell people this. Like, say like you're the kind of person that doesn't work out without a coach. Well, like, don't just like beat yourself up and go, that's it, I'm not working out now because I won't work out on my own. You should still work out every week with a coach. Like, it's okay. Like, I don't work out unless, like, I do competitive paddling. Well, why do I show up for training? There are 5 other people in the boat that are relying on me to show up. That's okay. Right? It's okay. Like, you know, I'm really glad. Like, I'm pretty lazy. If I was to do a solo sport, I might be lucky if I went once a week to training. Because I have a million ways I can convince, the ocean's too rough today. Oh, that's a very strong wind. Right? There's a million ways I will convince myself not to go. So for the people that it's not 3 to 6 months, it's like, for flip's sake, we need a coach every week forever, or like, you know, a year, 2 years. It's still better than the alternative. No working out and you die 10 years earlier, or your relationship ends because you just literally, fine, if we can't get fixed, we just won't do the work at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And since you talked about how to work or working with you, I want to share how people can work with you if they want to, or your resources.
Yeah. The easiest way is just go to our website. And, you know, it's me, my wife, we do the exact same kind of work. We're both certified emotionally focused couples therapists. We have a staff of therapists and coaches that we train. And we have kind of like a professional sports mentality. It's a little weird for a therapist. Like, we really believe in being the very, very best. Everybody's trying to be the best. The fee each therapist charges is a representation of their ability to deliver value. So the best therapists charge the most amount of money. And so the only way someone is here is they're on the path. They're either at excellence or on the path to excellence. And so it's kind of a little different than the way most therapists think of the work. But yeah, the best place is just the website. It's just empathy.com, and it's empathy with an I on the end, not a Y on the end.com. Okay. And on the website, we have free resources, not just counseling and therapy. We actually developed a pretty detailed app for couples where you can work out your attachment styles, and you can see by both of you answering the questions, you can discover what is the system that you're co-creating with each other. All of that is free. And we have courses, but there is no, all of that stuff. It's great. It was fun for us to create, but there's no substitute for you and a couples coach or therapist that really knows what they're doing. Right. And so if it's not me or empathy, I would definitely, if you're a couple, I would highly recommend you finding someone that really knows, not just that they did some training, they know how to do emotionally focused couples therapy, That's their specialty. They focus on it. They don't deviate from it. The reason it works, it's the gold standard. It's the most evidence-based. We use it because it works, right? Like, it's just the most effective way to help couples.
Yeah. And real quick, well, I guess we already talked about this. What do most couples do is just get defensive and do what you just said. So
yeah,
never mind. I will ask, do you have any final thoughts? Like just kind of run down or?
Yeah, just the one thing I would just remind people is the only reason people fight in love and relationship or argue is because they love each other. It's sometimes when things are so simple, it's hard to grasp what that means. We often get caught up as, we're fighting because the other person is a pain in the ass. We're fighting because the other person is a ball buster. Like whatever you're like, actually, the only reason they're a pain in the ass is they're threatened inside. They're scared that they can't find you or there's no way you'll be happy with them. The only reason they look like a ball buster is because they're terrified again, right? And why are they terrified? Because being connected to you means so much to them. So people's worst behaviors are just the things they do when they're scared they can't be connected in a way that makes them feel safe. As simple as that sounds, right? That's really important that you can make that reframe in your head when your partner or spouse looks the most annoying. All that's happening is they're hurting because being disconnected from you is awful for them. They may not react the way you do. Like you may be I'm going to use 8 boxes of Kleenex right now and wail listening to All By Myself by Celine Dion. And so it might be very hard for you to understand someone else hurt by going down into the basement and not coming out for 2 days. You might just think that person didn't give a shit. Look at him down there. That's actually not what's happening. No one goes down to the basement for 2 days without really hurting inside. That's just what they do to survive. Only fighting because you love each other, and your worst behaviors are just the things you do to survive when you're hurting because disconnection's so terrible. Got to always keep coming back to that. And if you can't come back to it, you got to do the work, to work out those knots, those resistance points, because everyone has them. Well, no, you don't understand how terrible my spouse is, right? We got to do the work, right? To unwind. I do like a massage, right? We got to unwind some of those friction points or knots that stop you being able to see, hey, you're both people that make sense. You're both people that are just hurting. Everybody's okay. Just calm down. Nothing to see here, folks. I just got 2 people that love each other, that are scaring each other. They're going to be okay in a minute. We got to be able to make that shift inside of ourselves and each other. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Good stuff. And obviously you're effective, so it's always good.
Yeah. No worries.
And like you said, simple steps, but doing it is easier said than done. But
Great
information. All right. And if you love this episode, be sure to tell your friends about it and rate it as well. And be sure to follow the show as well. And check out empathy.com for all of his FIGS information. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Frank Talk, Sex and Dating educates.